Hey y'all, and welcome back to Coding with Minmer. On today's agenda, we're going to tackle an adorable LeetCode problem, 605, can place flowers. To no one's surprise, there does exist a variant and we will solve it, but one step at a time. Let's focus on the original question first. We have a long flower bed in which some of the plots are planted and some are not. However, flowers cannot be planted in adjacent plots. Given an integer array called flower bed containing zeros and ones, where 0 means empty and 1 means not empty, and an integer n, return true if n new flowers can be planted in the flower bed without violating the no adjacent flowers rule, and false otherwise. That kind of made sense. Taking a look at our example here, why is it so high up? We can't help but notice that a world of ones and zeros is, for a lack of a better word, boring. Let's temporarily make it cuter. That's much better. We notice that instead of ones, we have rabbits that act as obstacles. Surely we can't place a flower on it. As the why, I'm sure we're all gardeners here. Rabbits do eat flowers, shrubs, and herbs. And if you don't believe me, exactly. There were also zeros that represent empty plots. Huh, that's peculiar. There are plots outside of our flower bed. It's tempting to put a flower there, but this would violate a constraint. All flowers must be placed within our flower bed, not outside. The important implication is that it means we can potentially place a flower on the first empty plot, or potentially the last empty plot for that matter. But anyway, yes, we should place flowers where the zeros used to be, but we only have to place an n of 3 flowers in this example. Well, that's easy. We're overachievers. We can go up and beyond. But wait, this violates another constraint. There cannot be 2 adjacent flowers in the flower bed. Furthermore, LeetCode doesn't mention it, but we cannot place a flower next to an obstacle rabbit either. This just means a flower needs 2 empty neighboring plots. It cannot have rabbits or other flowers next to it. Therefore, sure, let's remove this one. Same deal with this one. It can't have the flower to its right, so let's remove it. Overall, don't worry, these constraints won't stop us. As we can see, we can still achieve our goal to place exactly 3 flowers. We put one here, here, and here. Please note that we didn't update the actual flower bed itself, and that's because we don't have to. But great work, we did it. We can return true. This is our answer. That was a short whirlwind of deciphering requirements, so let's summarize them. 1. Flowers cannot be placed on top of rabbits. 2. Flowers cannot be placed next to a rabbit. 3. Flowers cannot be placed next to each other. 4. There are empty plots outside the flower bed. And this one's an obscure one, but rabbits in the flower bed cannot be next to each other. All this means is, in the original input list of ones and zeros, no 2 ones will ever be next to one another. So something like this is not allowed. Anyway, good job. This is more explicit and clear, unlike this one, which is missing quite a bit of detail. Thanks, LeetCode. As always, how do we solve this programmatically? There's actually a lot more going on here than you may think. Let's inspect the intuition with another example, but fine in ones and zeros. Great, here's our flower bed. We're instructed to plant an n of 5 flowers. My first question is, where do we even start? It goes without saying that we can mindlessly place one here and here. Yes, I'm using check marks to denote place flowers, because remember, we don't have to update the flower bed itself. I'll hold off on it for now. Okay, so we placed one at index 0 and index 3. But what is optimal? Let's consider a few options. In regards to these 2 flowers, these are valid because the plot they're on is empty, denoted by the 0, and their neighboring plots are also empty. Take this one. We make one check at index I minus 1 for its left plot, and I plus 1 for the right plot. In total, we had to make 3 checks. Cool. But what about this plot? In contrast, if we started on the 0th index, we only need to make 2 checks, right? At I and I plus 1. Recall, it's as if there's an empty plot outside our flower bed, making the placement valid. With only 2 checks, this does technically ensure greater chances of placing a flower. Okay, so that's 1 down, makes sense to me. While we're here at index 0, why not work our way to the right? And before you comment, yes, you can work from the end of the flower bed, but my brain doesn't work in reverse. Either way, we're on the right track. Sure, we should loop left to right until the very end of our array, exhausting the flower bed. I will say this is a lot of explanation for an easy LeetCode problem. So let's transition into YOLO mode with this for loop and see what things we observe. Okay, so from here, we want to go clearly to the right, but by how many indices? To answer this, let's think about what we just did. We planted a flower because there was an empty plot at I and I plus 1. This means we should increase our I by 1, right? There's no point because we're not allowed to have adjacent flowers. Doing so violates this constraint. It's not worth doing. So why not increase our index here by 2 to index 2? Here, this would be the next place to potentially place a flower. We can make a similar but not the same if statement check as before. Is the plot at I minus 1, I and I plus 1 empty? Indeed, the values are zeros. Therefore, we can place another flower here. And speaking of flowers, we planted 2 so far. Sounds like a job for an integer variable. Let's call it placed because that makes sense to me. Nice job. We planted 2 of the 5 flowers. Let's increment our index twice again, where we can repeat the same exact logic. We can place 3 flowers now. Okay, we've seen this situation enough times from observational learning to know that this is a core piece of logic. We'll just make a quick note of the code. That if the current plot, left plot, and right plot are all equal to 0, then we'll increment our placed variable and increase I by 2. Fantastic. Like the implementation says, we'll increase our index 2 times. Here, we face a totally different situation. We're literally on an obstacle denoted by this 1. One thing's for sure, we cannot place a flower here, so we'll forego doing that. The big question is, how many times do we increment our index? Is it once, twice, or thrice? Let's do some more exploration. If we increment it 1 time, then what's the point? If we know that we were just on an obstacle, then it's impossible to have a flower placed right next to it. This is not allowed. Considering our next option, when increasing I by 2 work? Or at least give us accurate odds of computing the next placed flower. Amazing. In code, we'll have another if statement that if we're on an obstacle, all we'll have to do is increase our index twice. Anyway, continuing our new iteration here, we notice that we have case number 1. The current plot and the surrounding plots are empty. So we'll happily place a flower here and increment our counter variable to 4. Lastly, as per the code, remember, we'll increase our index twice. On the next iteration, we observe we have neither case. This is unknown territory, which sounds like another spontaneous if statement. Let's be a bit smart about it though. Thinking on this, 2 iterations ago, we'll recall an established constraint that no 2 obstacles can be placed next to each other. We cannot be given an input list like this, meaning the surrounding plots of an integer 1 must be empty. They must be 0. With this observation, I'll ask you this. How many times did we increase our I from the 1? It was 2, right? That ensures the best chances of placing a flower. Of course, there could have been a 1 here, in which case we could not place a flower. But hey, I can't tell the future. We won't know for sure until we iterate here. Extending this thought, I'll make another query. How many indices would you move from here at index 5? In other words, right before the 1. It would be 3. You would not increase it by 1 because there's a 1 right after. You wouldn't increase it by 2 because of the constraint that we just mentioned. So therefore, you'd increase it 3 times. If you take a look, we have the same exact situation here at index 10. We're right before an obstacle, so let's do a +3 to our index. Sure, let's roll with that. In code, we'll have an else statement that if the first two statements fall through, then we'll simply increment I by 3. Great. On to the next iteration, we encounter a familiar case, case 1. This plot, as well as the plot to its left and right, are empty, so we can place another flower. Please remember, we don't actually modify our array. Instead, we'll just increment our place variable and increase our I twice. Let's pause right here. Let me ask, do we have to move on to the next iteration? We duly note that we already achieved our goal. We successfully placed the n of 5 flowers right here. Thus, we'll introduce a small optimization and return true. In code, after every single iteration of our loop, we'll have an if statement to see if we've placed exactly n flowers or not. But great work. This is our answer. This is what we return. I'm very confident our logic works, but if you're hesitant, I understand. To make it doubly sure, let's extend this example here and see if our code holds up. Okay, wow. Normally, I'd cringe at long test cases, but in this case, I see it as an expansion of an epic garden. Stardew Valley is a fun game. We notice that we now want to plant an n of 8 flowers. Let's do it. Where we currently are with index I, remember, we chose not to keep going, but now with an n of 8, we'll happily keep going. And in doing so, encounter the first if statement, where the plot to the left is empty, and so is the current plot, and the plot to its right. So let's increment our place variable to 6 and increase our I by 2. And let's not forget, for pure visual purposes, let's checkmark index 15. On our next iteration, on index 17, we landed on an obstacle, so we naturally execute the second if statement to simply move our I pointer 2 times. Where on index 19, we repeat the same logic for the same case. Now, we can't place a flower here, so statement 1 is out the window. We didn't land on an obstacle. This wasn't a 1, so we can safely eliminate statement 2 as well. We're left with logic to skip 3 indices. Doing so lands us in the same exact situation. We're 1 before an obstacle. Let's skip another 3. Where we find ourselves yet with another obstacle. We know what we're doing at this point. The next possible index where we can physically plant a flower is 2 indices from here. So let's do exactly that. And we look at that. This plot is empty, and so is its left and right. We'll execute the body of the first if statement to place a flower by incrementing our placed integer count and adding 2 to our index. Amazing, we've traversed our entire flower bed, so we'll terminate our loop. If it wasn't abundantly clear, we'll run a while loop so long as our I pointer is still in bounds of our array. And in this test case, when it passes index 29, we stop. In retrospect, we only placed 7 flowers, not the 8. Since we couldn't achieve our goals, we'll sadly return false. That's our answer. If, even after all this, you're unsure of the code correctness, then number 1, you have trust issues, but 2, it turns out that we actually went over every single state transition. From if statement number 1 to 1, 1 to 2, 1 to 3, 2 to 1, and so forth and so forth. There's definitely no missing logic. I have never been more certain in my life. Okay, it's come to my attention that there is a bug in the code. Who would have thought? Check out this example. We need to place 0 flowers in our flower bed. It doesn't take a genius to know that we can immediately just return true. There's literally nothing to plant. However, our algorithm would return false. That's incorrect. To see it, here's what happens. On the first iteration, we place a flower and thus increment our placed variable and move our I pointer along as appropriate. Before we move on to the next iteration, recall that on the end of any given iteration, we check if we've placed exactly n flowers already. Can you see how this check would fail? We placed 1, but needed to place exactly 0. To put it simply, 0 is not equal to 1, but moreover, if we only ever increment our variable from here on out, then it'd be impossible to ever go back down to the 0. To remedy this, we'll modify our equality sign to check for n or more placed flowers. Awesome, this statement is now correct. We'd return true as expected. The time complexity is big O(n). Technically, it's a bit more efficient than that, but big O is generalized to big O(n). The space complexity is big O(1), since we only used constant space variables, like our I pointer and our placed variable count. Okay, let's code. First things first, let's prepare some variables for our while loop, which includes a pointer I defaulted to index 0 and a placed count variable, also 0 initialized. Okay, let's write a while loop and keep iterating as long as our I pointer is still in bounds of our flower bed. On each iteration, we need to check for the empty left plot, which is indeed empty if we're on the 0th index, or if the plot to the left is a 0. If it's neither of these, it must be a 1. We'll have a similar check for the right empty plot. It's empty if we're on the last index of our flower bed, or if the plot to the right is 0. Lastly, don't forget to rename this to empty right plot. With these two booleans, we can write out our 3 branches of if statements. First up, what if the current plot and the left plot, and lastly the right plot, are all empty? We'll place a flower by incrementing it, and then increase I by 2. Secondly, what if we landed on an obstacle? We do nothing but increase I 2 times. Lastly, we have our failsafe else statement, where we'll increase I by 3 times. Now, at the end of any given iteration, we make an obsessive check. Did we place enough flowers? Or concretely, n or more flowers? If so, we can return true. If we manage to get past our while loop, then that means we didn't place enough flowers, we can return false. Great work. There is a variant. Let's take a look. Tech companies think they can get tricky on us, but they are wrong. The twist is, what if we had to return the most number of flowers that can be planted? Luckily, the modifications we have to make are super trivial. If you imagine our code, we want to place as many flowers as possible. Good news, our code already does that. We were being as greedy as possible. We moved our I index as minimally as we could to make sure we captured every opportunity to place a flower. That said, there's one thing that would prevent us from placing as many as we can. And you're right, it's mainly these 2 lines. We can demolish those. To make sure this is functional, let's go over an example and see if our code still works. Never mind. You know what? Let's skip to the implementation. Observe our new method signature. 2 things to note. We no longer have our n parameter. Makes sense. Also, the return type is now an integer of the number of placed flowers. This has implications on our return type. I'd rather it be our placed integer. One last thing. Let's remove these 2 lines. And believe it or not, we are done. Good job. I hope you have a good day. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What am I thanking you for? Lots of things. And if you learned something today, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.